Special meeting, we had very good turnout. Roll call, Kevin.
All right, so I'm going to borrow this for roll call. Chair Gary Delvo.
Here.
Vice Chair Matt Schuler.
Here.
Alderperson Barbara Dorf has to be excused. Jim Blumerick.
Here.
Debbie Dean.
Here.
Kathy Hinkfus.
Here.
And Melanie Parma.
Here.
Excellent. Motion to approve the agenda.
Move to approve the agenda.
Second.
Jim and Kathy, all in favor, sing by saying aye.
Aye.
Agenda is approved. Regular business, so we actually only have one thing on the agenda. Number one, consideration of possible action development agreement 18-06 with Breakthrough Fuels LLC for development project at the shipyard, 239 Arndt Street, 101 Bridge Street, and 119 Bridge Street, tax parcels 3-551, 3-554-A, and 3-556. All right, Kevin. first
Yes.
So, first of all, it seemed exciting.
Yeah.
Give us some details.
Yeah, we're thrilled. You know, I think, again, appreciate the opportunity for the special meeting here today. You know, it's a tri-party agreement, so again, generally, we've run things through RDA and then go to council.
Yes.
You know, we're both parties to it, so in this case, in terms of us, you know, negotiating and reaching agreement and wanting to move this forward kind of as soon as possible, we're right in the middle of budget season, so our meetings are a little bit off with council, and also trying to get the clients here, the developer here, there were just a few dates that they were available over the next 30 days, and then trying to coordinate, you know, with this group, you know, putting things together. So it worked out in a way that we were able to get it through. They were able to make their announcement on Monday. And again, I think just, you know, the competitive nature out there, once that announcement is made, we'd like to get things locked up as quickly as possible. So I appreciate you, you know, coming together here today to look at this development agreement. I think it was pretty exciting. The council approved this unanimously, 11-0.
That doesn't happen very often.
Exactly.
But yeah, I mean, I think it speaks testament to the company, and it speaks testament to the future of this project. So I'll just go through, just very quickly, just highlight a little bit about the development agreement. If you have any questions, we can talk about them, and then, you know, recommendation to approve this agreement. So as we've been talking about the shipyard, we would like this to be our newest addition to that area. I think the architecture is stunning. I mean, it fits in, you know, with what we're doing down there in terms of that industrial shipping motif, and I really think it's going to make a statement, you know, first in on, you know, that side of the river, you know, coming over Mason Street or going down Broadway and really seeing, you know, what is going to really help define, you know, the benchmark for private investment on that side of the river. And this is looking, you know, across the river from the east side, you know, really starting to fill up the space nicely. So Breakthrough would like to do, and phase one, which they would anticipate opening in 2020, which would be about the same time we'd be opening the shipyard, is a 40,000 square foot office building, 80 to 100 employees. What's that?
40,000. Did you say 40?
40,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, 40,000. 40,000, I'm sorry, 40,000 square foot office building, 80 to 100 employees. It's a company that's been growing rapidly and doesn't see any signs of slowing down. And that's part of the reason, you know, they wanted to do this project is consolidate, you know, multiple offices into one, and really kind of look at a campus for growing. We anticipate about $8.3 to $12 million in assessed value with this first phase. There's also potential for future expansion of another 40,000 square feet as they start to develop. And continue. They really would like this, you know, to kind of be their corporate headquarters, corporate campus for the, you know, foreseeable future. So this just is a little bit of the layout, how it fits on the space. You can see some of the things that we're doing with the shipyard on the southern end in terms of the amenities we're providing there with the athletic field, container park, and urban beach, and those waterfront things. You know, fitting in across the slit, and really, you know, working together to tie in to get all this development kind of going at once, and you know, really be individual pieces, but also synergized together. So what's proposed in front of you today, just to kind of highlight the TIF incentive that we talked about. It's a property transfer to the developer. We will retain, the city and our RDA will retain waterfront rights all the way around. We just feel it's really important, you know, just like the east side, that public has access to the water, and, you know, to continue the shipyard components all the way through on that north side. Some of the public improvements, we're contemplating this agreement. These are bigger things we've talked about, as part of the whole shipyard project. We just wanted to reflect them in this agreement because I think for Breakthrough, we have a separate agreement to do some of these things, but they wanted to make sure that, look, we are going to be doing some of these things. So that's helping to improve the crossing at Arn Street, some pedestrian improvements to Pearl Street, sidewalks, landscape lighting, and then providing some additional parking. We're going to be building some parking as part of the shipyard project. They would like to have access to some of that parking. They're going to provide some on site. One of the pieces, the P on here, that little triangle piece, they would like to have exclusive use of that during their business hours. So kind of like the City Hall lot, sign from 7 to 5 or 8 to 5. They'd be able to use that lot exclusively, but the rest of the time, nights and weekends, that would be open to the public. Working on some site improvements, as we work on getting the site ready for development. Again, I wasn't here last week, but thank you for moving ahead with Stantec on that proposal or their design services to get the design and turn this into construction docs. What we're looking at and what we'll coordinate with is, site improvements, bringing in the site fill, bring areas out of the floodplain, dealing with some of the environmental issues there, and stormwater management. Doing these things, looking at the whole 13 acres is going to be a lot more efficient than just kind of piecemealing this together. So we're going to be looking at working on some of those improvements there. And then with phase 2, if the developer Breakthrough decides to expand, basically we'll have a 2-year period in which to acquire ultraplating, the parcel next door, and take that building down and then turn it into part of this development property. We've been talking about this, we've been in negotiations, but we feel comfortable that, again, in terms of the highest and best use of this area, it's going to be, for Breakthrough. And then just, quickly on the numbers, we're looking at a project grant of $1 million. That's really to help provide funding for deep pilings that need to be done in that area. As you've been familiar with our riverfront projects, it's squishy soil, so going in down to bedrock to enable that construction. With that, they'd have to guarantee $6 million in value by 2021. As you said, we're projecting 8 to 12, so we don't feel there's going to be an issue with that. And then a guaranteed $6 million on their expansion if we're to go ahead and acquire the ultraplating site. Once the debt service is paid off, they'd be eligible for a 60% pay-go until 2036. Part of that is also structured to, again, kind of build at the higher end and maybe do the expansion sooner than later. So with that, look, some of the things that we've discussed and we were talking with council members about support for this project. This is a super competitive site selection process. This is a company that we are lucky to have, and I don't know how many states do they do business in?
7 employees in 7 states in business.
And they travel around, so in terms of getting where they want to invest, it's competitive. From the numbers, we're going to get $170,000 to $270,000 property taxes just with the first phase. That'll add $3 to $5 million in the TID, which that money is to go back to help with the shipyard improvements. Obviously, the timing, helping efficiencies with construction, adding that activity to the district, working for the critical mass, and then the pieces that we've continued to talk about. Just catalyzing the additional private investment, both in terms of from the private side, additional businesses or clients or things that we'd like to see here, but then also we still go back to talking about the neighborhood and the neighborhood revitalization. Our team has been working really hard on identifying priority projects and seeing where those opportunities are to really bring that whole neighborhood together. So with that, you had the agreement, and if there's any questions, we'd be happy to answer. And with that, we'd recommend approval of the agreement.
Number of questions.
Sure.
TID 5 and TID 21 or 22? I saw both 21 and 22.
So there's a clerical error. It should be TID 22. This property right now is in TID 5. What we would do is next year, we would ask, request, we already started this process. The city gave the RDA authorization to work on preparing a new tax increment district for the shipyard. So this year we created Whitney Park and packaging, which will be 1/1 of this year. Based on the timing, since we have most of the property right now and most of the development won't be realized until 20, we're going to work on that next year to make TID 22 effective 1/1 of 19. So with that, this property, this area will be captured under that new TID.
So it won't be an overlay then?
Correct. We would look at creating a new TID for this area.
What phase are we at on the environmental assessment?
Sure. So we've done phase 2 through everything for all the properties around there, including actually all the properties we own. So the Badger Sheet Metal, this site, the north side, the south side of the slip, the Ravi properties. So we have a very good handle on the environmental contamination that is there. One of the things that we're working on and have been working on early on with the DNR is what's the plan for environmental remediation moving forward. Most of the contamination there, is because there's high groundwater levels. They are comfortable with mitigation or management through a cap in that area. We're going to be bringing in additional fill for most of the site, so they're supportive of that because you just increase the cap. We'll have to take some steps just to ensure appropriate measures are taken is where we drill in for the pilings. That soil that comes out of that may have to get treated if it can get used on site, in terms of landscaping for berms, or get hauled away. But in terms of actual disposal and movement of soil, there's probably actually going to be very little of that.
Cool. And then stormwater.
Sure.
How do you handle stormwater?
So that's actually a good conversation we had with Stantec. And it's a challenge on this site because you're dealing with a few things. You're dealing with high water levels, near the Fox River, and you're dealing with environmental contamination where you can't just necessarily infiltrate everything into the ground. They've dealt with some of these sites before, so they are looking at, it's still very early, but combination of surface water treatment, whether it's ponds or swales, but then also potentially some underground tanks to handle the stored water. We're bringing up 4 feet of fill, so there's room in that layer to be able to play around with stormwater management. I think there's some costs with that. On the other side, it also helps preserve land available for development. So, making sure that we're not taking up a big chunk of the site with ponds, but they feel very comfortable that they're going to be able to manage what's here. On the south side of the site, same thing as well. Basically, within that layer, working on some of the stormwater management pieces.
Yeah, I've heard of underground before. Have you worked with it?
This is-
Yeah.
This is really a company question, but the company's not here, but they've been extremely successful in growing leaps and bounds. What would you contribute to their success? They've been dynamite. So, do you have any ideas? Is it customer service or niche or what is it?
Niche. They found a gap in the market in terms of being able to, figure out in terms of the whole shipping industry when it comes to fuel and fuel pricing and futures and really, just
Excellent.
the availability to take mega data that's out there and tailor it into insights. That really helps companies, save both fuel costs, but then also, emissions and efficiency and all those types of
absolutely.
things. It was
Absolutely.
interesting to hear that, these companies that they're working with, their name is coming up more and more. And just, I think they'll continue to grow. They kind of took from our cluster here of transportation and logistics and saw all right, here's a gap in the market. And look, this expands the bigger things that we're trying to do is take our strengths and figure out, all right, well, what's the next big thing for some of these? So, I think they'll continue to grow. And look, the other piece too, they recruit great talent. They have, they're very selective about their process and their employees are dedicated, but it is top notch what they got over there. They recruit globally for what they have at their company.
To that end, they pay very well too. which we're excited about. And that's why we think this neighborhood redevelopment, finally, we're gonna get some higher incomes in that neighborhood, some investment in the property.
It's extremely exciting.
Yeah, this is a good company. Look, we weren't alone in chasing them, right?
Mhm.
And any mayor would want them. And it is, everything is lined up. This is a catalyst project that's been sitting there for 30 years. It's just been, that whole district needs new life, and we're getting there now. So we're very excited about this project, and I think this is a great move for the city.
And Kevin, I saw the assessed value they're thinking is around $8 million. What's the construction cost, do we know?
So they've talked, they're probably gonna be in the $12 to $16 million range. I know that's kind of a big range, but, you know, once they finalize their numbers, I mean, it really comes with like the site prep and deep foundations, and how deep do you have to go, and how many do you have to do, but, yeah, this building, and again, based on the initial assessment, you know, it's kind of looking at floor plans and, you know, space. We went conservatively, but I think it's gonna come out higher towards the 12 end.
Question on schedule. So we have, you know, Shipyard tied in with prior to June 1st, 2020.
Yes.
So has there been any conversation with Stantec on schedule and kind of their thoughts on what that, right? Because
Yes,
June
yep.
1st, right, if we've got a wet, messy spring, and obviously no one knows, but I'm just thinking,
I'll
we've
take
got
my
this
cut.
2019 summer to be doing
Yep.
a lot, right?
So we met Wednesday. I mean, obviously, it's a very compressed schedule, so, you know, you had approval last week, got approved by council Tuesday, met with them Wednesday. And with that, so we had this discussion and basically said, look, with this agreement, you know, we're kind of committing ourselves to having that shipyard piece open June 1 of 2020. Work backwards from that. And so they're going through and kind of looking at, all right, construction, then with slack time for weather, and then, you know, approval process with slack time for, you know, things get held up, and then design time. They're tweaking that schedule right now, and then basically we'll sit down both with us internally so we can talk, you know, through public works and planning and just see, all right, realistic. And then also they will meet with Breakthrough, and they'll meet with Performa, who's working on, you know, kind of their design aspects, and figure out, all right, how do these timetables work together, and how do we really be most efficient? So we had that meeting, and they feel pretty confident in terms of being able to meet those dates. So once they get that revised schedule, I'm guessing we'll probably have a meeting next week with Performa and with Breakthrough with these approvals, and kind of get on pace so that we can be doing design through the winter, put this out to bid early in 2019 so that you can get work on this next
Right.
year.
Yeah.
This is land that the city acquired, correct?
35, 40 years ago?
Mayor Halloran bought it, where he was mayor at that time.
Oh my gosh, it's been there that long.
Yes.
Okay.
No tax base.
Yep, got that. I couldn't remember if this was any of it that we were looking at
Did you acquire?
purchasing
Nope.
or, okay.
It's been ours for a long time.
Wow. That's even, that's even,
I think it was the environmental, there's a big holdup on it.
No,
No?
no.
Yeah, I mean,
The early-
go back, I mean,
wow,
the
congratulations.
environmental, I mean, when you talk to the DNR and working with the DNR, it's, I mean, it's very manageable. There's nothing there that's in terms of, you know, an acute threat to human health and things like that. It's, look, there's a cap in place, maintain the cap in place as you move forward. And it's just, look, I mean, I think the city needed to make a statement, like, we're investing in that area, and now we're seeing the private side saying, okay, we will too.
Any other questions or comments, or motion?
I would move to approve.
Jim?
Second.
Second by Matt. Any other questions or comments? If not, we'll vote. Ready, Lisa?
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's not registered. Promise. Press it like 5
Yep.
times.
Yeah, it's still not showing.
There, how about that?
There we go, passed
Very
unanimously.
good. First of all, congratulations, Kevin, Mayor, and team. I mean, fantastic job. This is an extremely important project, extremely important company, and to have them as the cornerstone of that shipyard is dynamite. So, guys did a great job. Any other comments?
Second.
All right. Motion to adjourn. I don't think there's anything else on the agenda, is there? No. Motion adjourned?
Motion to adjourn.
Kathy and Melody.
Second, sure.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Excellent job.
Thank you.
Ball is rolling.
Awesome.